Okay, hello everybody. I think we're live. I think there's a 20-second delay on Facebook, so hopefully everybody will be able to hear us. Hi, welcome to Wonderworld Wonders. This is live on Facebook and YouTube, hopefully. And we're going to be showing you a little bit about what's going on at Cemlyn, our main sort of bird migration reserve, I suppose. We've got quite a few people involved, including we've got a live turn cam from a telescope. We're going to go live to Eve, who can tell us a little more about what's going on. So Eve, over to you.
Hi Dawn. That's a nice name actually for this morning. It's a lovely morning. Bore da. Welcome everybody. Yeah, so I'm here at Cemlyn. And it's there's lots going on here this morning. It's been quite an exciting morning. In fact, you can just see we've got a couple of watts. So there's this is Dawn, one of the wardens here, walking over the bridge back over to the ridge with her scope. And then we've got Sue here. So Sue's with our telescope. She's with the turn cam as we're calling it. And then later on we're interviewing Mark, who's a warden here. So yeah, lots of exciting things going on. And yeah, this is a great spot for a lot of migrating birds. It's on the west coast of Anglesey, so it's just sort of quite out into the sea. And it's a fantastic spot. So we get a lot of migrating birds here, particularly in the winter as well. So we get a lot of birds passing through and using it as a feeding ground. There's it's a very rich feeding ground. There's lots of fish in the area, so it's really good for a lot of migrating birds. But what we're here sort of to look at today is the terns. It's a really important colony and spot for sandwich terns, common terns, and Arctic terns as well. So it's the only place in Wales where we have a colony of sandwich terns, so it's very exciting, and they've picked up in their numbers recently, so we've got quite a lot of terns here at the moment, particularly sandwich terns, so we'll be talking about that later. Yeah,
Thank you, Eve. Okay, so we're going to go over to Nia. Nia, can I ask you to unmute?
Good morning everyone. Siya Amina Heavenly Bore Mod Winter. Yeah, well, welcome. Thank you for joining us online on such a windy morning. I think we should start calling these windy Wonderworld wonders, because every time we do have them, we have quite a lot of wind. But we've had a bit of break in the weather today. And I'm actually out on touring Cemlyn, so I'm going to just flip my camera around. Just to give you a little idea of where we're at the moment. So I'm right on the edge of that peninsula there, on the sort of headland that's touring Cemlyn. Oh, I haven't turned my camera on, hang on. There we go. I'm right at the edge of the Troy, and so if I just give you on the north coast of Anglesey, as Eve says, and just in the back there you've got Carmel Head, and I don't know if you can just see quite in the sun there, that's the skerries, and the skerries are also nesting colonies of Arctic and common terns. And then if we just pan around, we've got Harry Furlong's Rock all the way around. And right in the distance there, you'll see Middlemouse Island. Now, Middlemouse Island is the northernmost point of Wales. And then just there, we've got on the other side of the bay, of the sort of mouth of the bay, is Wilver. And this is an incredible sight. You know, it feels completely out in the middle of nowhere, and we're kind of looking out to sea. And yeah, it's incredible for the birds. Just to give you an idea, there's the ridge right in the back there. And it's an incredible sight for all sorts of wildlife. So just this morning as I was walking in onto the shore, and I saw two seals. They're coming into the bay really from the shelter a little bit. As you can see, it's quite stressy out there today, and there's loads of seals there. They like to sort of haul out on the little island in the back there. And of course you've got the terns, but then you've got this time of year. It's a really wonderful time of year to be out and about on the coast looking for flowers. So the Troy here has got lots of cephas, birds with trefoil, spring squirrel. So it's a really, really good time of year to be out and about. And of course, wouldn't be right to not mention harbour porpoises. So it's a really great spot to watch out for harbour porpoises. This whole area in front of us is a special area of conservation for porpoises. And seeing as the theme of today is migration, one of the species that we'll be looking forward to seeing and welcoming into the area over the next couple of months will be the Rizzo dolphin. They usually arrive towards the sort of end of July, August, but we have had a sighting off Point Linus of these Rizzo dolphins this year already. So this incredible large sort of dolphin that sort of gets whiter as they like as they get collected scars. So yeah, so just to give you another little pan around, and then I'll pass you back to Dawn.
Thank you, Nia. That was lovely. You had a very quick introduction via the map as well. Eve, now we're going to go over to Eve. You're going to introduce us to how to identify the different birds, because they're quite tricky, aren't they, terns?
Yeah. So the terns, quite a lot of people may confuse a tern with a gull, because they you know, you quite often see them on the coast. They can look quite similar. However, they do look quite different, and specifically trying to identify between the different terns. So like I said, at the moment we get 3 terns here, so sandwich terns, common terns, and Arctic terns. So the sandwich terns, which are the ones that we get in the greatest numbers here, they in fact, and you can even see on this lovely ID sheets that we've got here, and you can download this online. So if you go onto the North Wales Wildlife Trust website and go on to the Cemlyn Reserve page, you can download this ID leaflet, and it's great. It tells you all about the different terns. So the sandwich terns, that's this lovely one on the front here. It's got a yellow tip to its beak, it's got black legs, and it's got this sort of punky kind of thing going on with its hair where it spikes up at the back. There we go. So Dawn's sharing, that's a picture of a sandwich tern there. That's beautiful. And they have this incredible call. It's kind of like a kirik, kirik, and it's really distinguishable. So you can usually hear them before you see them. So that's the sandwich tern. The common tern and the Arctic tern. Now they can look quite similar. So the common tern, which is this one here, it doesn't have as long a tail streamers as the Arctic tern. Oh, hang on. No, sorry, this one's a common tern. Is that right, Dawn? There you go. See, it's difficult.
Yeah, sorry, got my pictures in the wrong order, so we'll go with common.
So the common tern, and in fact, if I show you this, it has slightly longer legs than the Arctic tern. So they're kind of when they're stood, it's kind of a bit easier to distinguish between them because it has longer legs than the Arctic tern. The Arctic tern has quite squat sort of legs. It's almost like it's had a bit of its legs sort of chopped off. It's quite short to the ground. So here we go. Here's the Arctic tern, and the Arctic tern has quite long tail streamers going behind it. So when they're in flight, you can see these long tail streamers behind it, which is quite useful. But yeah, they both have these sort of reddy orangey beaks, but the common tern has a black tip to the end of it. So that's how you can tell the difference between those two. And again, this leaflet is really handy. So there's a picture of a common tern there, and then that's the Arctic tern, and you can see it's got the shorter legs. There we go. So yeah, go and have a look on our website and download that. That's really handy. So the sort of the theme of today is migration, and like we said, you know, this is an incredible spot for migrating birds. And I don't know if Dawn, if there's anything interesting going on the camera at all, whilst I pull in our guest that we're interviewing today. So so you can see that's the island. So lovely Sue is over there, and she's standing with the tern cam, with the telescope, and so the terns, obviously they're coming in, they're nesting on this island within the lagoon, and yeah, it's quite a sheltered spot, and basically it's sheltered by this shingle ridge, and it means that the terns they can nest on this island, and they're relatively safe from predation. Relatively, I say. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, this is one of the few places where these terns can nest. The habitat is kind of, you know, there's very few places left on the coast now where these tern colonies can actually settle down to nest and breed. And they like to do it in these big colonies because it's safety in numbers, basically. That's one of the main reasons. So they're nesting in amongst other birds. So we've got oyster catchers and black-headed gulls on there as well. Yeah. So I'm going to invite Mark in now. So Mark wants to come and so this is Mark. If see, oh, there we go.
Hi there.
So Mark is one of the wardens here at Cemlyn. So he gets you get the great job of sitting on the ridge and watching the terns all day.
There are worse jobs to do.
Yeah, in all weather.
In all weathers, yeah.
Yeah. So we're quite lucky because we've sheltered behind a wall here. But actually, out on the ridge, I think it's pretty breezy too.
It looks, Eve, it looks like we might have lost you for a little bit. We're going to go back to the tern cam, and what I might do is pull in a video of what the terns are. Oh, there we are. You're back. You carry on talking, Eve. We lost you for a little bit there.
Oh, okay. Sorry. No, we're back. We're here. So we were just talking about the fact that yeah, basically it's been quite an interesting couple of days here at Cemlyn. So we were saying that this is a really interesting spot for seeing migrating birds, and we've had an interesting one here over the last couple of days.
Yeah, we've had a black tern pop in. It's been sitting sort of on the edge of the island, and we don't get them very often, so it's been very nice to see. It's been in and out for the last 2 days, so yeah, all the local birders have been down, got very excited about it, so yeah, we're very happy to have it here.
Yeah, and we because we should also mention the roseate tern, which is this is the rarest species of all the terns, and we sometimes see them popping in here as well.
Yeah, the last 2 days they've been in as well, but they tend to breed a little bit later than the other tern species, so they are only just turning up around now. But again, they don't stay very long. They just come in and visit and sit on the rocks and relax for a while.
Yeah, and I guess that's one of the beauties of being at this reserve is, you know, it's kind of a matter of the right place at the right time, isn't it? Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When you're spotting things, yeah.
But we're plugged into all the local birding people, so they give us a tip if they see anything exciting, and vice versa. So, so it works quite well.
Yeah, lovely. And so in terms of the sandwich tern numbers this year, what can you tell us about what you've been seeing in terms of the numbers?
Well, it's been following the usual pattern really. They started arriving late March, early April, in small numbers, and built up. First off, started roosting overnight, then they leave during the day. But at the moment, we've probably got about 3,000 birds, so 1,500 pairs, with around 1,200 looking settled on nests at the moment, on eggs. So we're very hopeful for the beginning of June when they start hatching out. Yeah,
and the sandwich terns, they're the initial birds to come in and settle.
Yeah, they are the early ones. The common and Arctic terns. The common terns arrive next, and then the Arctic terns a week to 10 days later. So so we're expecting them probably to start hatching about the middle of June.
Yeah,
so they are starting to settle down at the moment.
Yeah.
And we've probably got, because of the abandonment of the skerries last year, we've picked up a few more pairs this year. We normally only get 30 to 40 pairs of each, but we've probably got 100 or so of each at the moment.
Fantastic.
Maybe a few more Arctic terns.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So last year was a very interesting year. For those of you that don't know, the skerries are a set of islands about 3 kilometres off the coast here, and they're basically the whole colony abandoned last year. So we got a big influx last year, didn't we? Of mainly Arctic terns, but some commons as well. And so last year the numbers were just phenomenal, weren't they?
Yes,
they were
kind of off the charts for what we normally get.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this year in terms of the numbers of terns that we get. yeah.
Especially, I mean, we just don't know yet whether they're actually going to breed or whether they're just unsettled. We just don't know. So we'll be interesting to see when we actually do the clutch counts. What types have actually started laying.
Yeah. And you know, we talked about the fact that the habitat here, you know, it's one of the few places that we get a tern colony in the, you know, sort of nesting on the coast, because these habitats have really declined over the years. But even here, you know, day-to-day life is still quite hard for the terns, isn't it?
It can be, yeah. I mean, especially when there's a southerly wind, it makes it very difficult for them to get in over the ridge with their food, and you know, it's quite a struggle on occasions. And that's when you see all the photographers out on the ridge, because they can get a better picture of the birds. But you know, it's quite harsh here, and but I guess not as harsh as where they migrate to.
Yeah, and speaking of the migration, so can you tell us a bit more about the migration route as well for the terns? Well, I suppose if we start with the sandwich tern.
Well, the sandwich tern obviously breeds in the northern hemisphere, but it actually migrates from here to southern and western Africa. And in fact, some of the birds that we ringed 2 years ago have actually been picked up in Gambia and Senegal. So it's quite interesting to keep an eye on them. And then they don't usually return for 2 years or so. So it's, you know, sometimes they make it to Spain, Morocco, down there, but usually it's a lot further down the African coast, the western coast of Africa. So they usually stay with their parents for 3 to 4 months while they're here in the northern hemisphere breeding, and then once they make the migration, they usually stay away for a couple of years and then come back when they themselves start breeding.
Yeah.
And then the Arctic tern, which is the common tern, actually is Western Africa as well. So that will follow the same sort of pattern as the sandwich tern. Sorry, but the Arctic tern breeds as far north as the Arctic Circle, and then obviously here and in various places up and down the coast here. But that will then travel to the Antarctic, which is the longest migration of any seabird. It's up for debate. Some people say that the sooty shearwater actually migrates further, but most people accept that the Arctic tern has the longest migration. So it's a phenomenal journey, and you know, they must see daylight the whole year round. So
it's quite incredible for such a small what I suppose what we might think as quite a fragile looking thing. They're actually incredibly hardy, aren't they?
They are very, very strong.
Yeah, and you think that they just, you know, they must be on the wing for such a long time as well.
Yes, indeed. They you know, you can only imagine what weather they encounter when they're out there making the migration. So it's just phenomenal achievement to do it. And you could question their sanity, but you know, something drives them to do it.
And it's not like they get a nice, you know, sort of like to put their feet up when they get here after that long migration and get a nice warm cup of tea, is it? They go straight into getting down to courtship and breeding and and feeding up after the journey. Really, that's why they are very unsettled when they first arrive, because they're obviously out feeding and preparing for the breeding season. And we've just seen, actually, I don't know whether you caught that or not on the tern cam, but they've just all gone up. So this happens quite frequently, doesn't it? The whole colony kind of goes up, and we call it a dread. I mean, obviously being here all the time, you can tell the different types of dread. That one that's just happened there, the actual sitting birds didn't take off, so it could just be that one bird nudged another bird in the wrong way and they just sort of lifted off for a few seconds. But when there's a peregrine around, you can tell the difference, because they all get up and they all swirl in tight masses. So, and the noise is phenomenal as well. So. And you've had it. Oh, can you hear us?
Sorry, I was just, I know you've got a few more questions to ask about, but I was thinking, I saw the Cemlyn Warden's Facebook page yesterday, and there was talk about mating dances. Now, there wasn't one captured, but there was a picture of a couple of the terns mating. Is that what you're seeing now? Can I share our video of the mating dance?
You can share it. There are birds still doing that, some late arrivals, but most of them are sort of finished and sort of sitting on nests and eggs at the moment. So that you tend to see that earlier in May, happening all over the island. But it is fantastic. It's nice to watch. They spread their wings and they just dance around each other in a circle.
So is that particularly the sandwich terns that do the courtship, or what happens with the Arctic and the common terns? Because
the common terns do it, but not to such an extent. They tend to stretch their necks upwards and sort of dance around each other a little bit, but not as much as the sandwich terns. And the Arctic terns tend to just bother each other in the air and on the ground. They don't seem to have any sort of set mating routine, but you can tell when they are interested in each other.
Yeah. Because it's quite with the sandwich terns. It is almost. I mean, some people liken it to a it's a bit akin to a tango or something like that, and it's quite incredible to watch, isn't it? It's and like many seabirds, they pair for life, don't they?
They do, yes, and both sexes actually incubate the eggs as well. So so it's a full-blown partnership.
Yeah. And so there we go. So there's a video there of this courtship dance. So two sandwich terns there having a bit of a tango. Oh, and there they go, getting down to business as well. So get the whole thing. That's lovely. What you want to watch on a Saturday morning with your coffee. And so the incubation. Like you said, they share the whole thing, and then they've got a limited time really to get all of this done, and then to get the chick fed up so that it's ready then to migrate all the way back down to, well, either Africa or back down to Antarctica. Yeah,
well, as I say, the chicks are basically, it's a 21 to 29 day incubation period, and then the chicks hatch out, and they're pretty immobile for the first week or 10 days, and then as they start fledging, they tend to sort of form little groups and sort of practice flying and trying to fly and everything. And as I said, they stay with the parents. They probably leave here by mid-August and move off up and down the coast. They've been seen obviously in the Menai Straits, and then as far north as Scotland, they just tend to just fly around, I guess, preparing to journey back to their summer grounds.
Yeah, learning all the skills on the way from their parents, learning how to feed and wow, amazing. That's lovely. Well, thank you very much, Mark. It's been really good to chat here, and we've got a bit of sunshine now at Cemlyn, which is really nice. And I think Dawn's showing there's a video there of they're having a good clean. Oh yeah, so this is a video which is showing the chicks being fed actually, and so they'll bring in these sometimes massive fish as well. So
yeah. I mean, mainly they feed on sand eels, but there's anything that they can really get their beaks on. I mean, rockling, gadoid species. They just they're opportunist feeders as well. But as I say, mainly sand eels, which is probably one of the reasons why they settled here in the first place, because sand eel supplies seem fairly good around here. Up and down the coast, so.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Eve, we've got a question.
Oh, brilliant. Yes. Fire away.
Yeah. So the question is from Graham. Is the beach closed at the moment, or closed off whilst the terns are nesting?
No, there's a rope up which sort of separates the public from the tern colony on the ridge, but you can stand behind that rope and walk along the ridge still and get a very, very decent view of the colony. So we are open, but obviously we just ask everyone to respect the wildlife here and come and enjoy it.
Brilliant.
And if you come and you see one of the wardens stood on the ridge, then definitely go and say a friendly hello and go and have a chat, because you'll probably learn lots of stuff and
bring us a hot drink and some chocolate, because you'll probably be cold.
Does cake go down well?
Oh, absolutely, always.
Oh dear, that's lovely. Yeah, thank you very much, Mark, and hope you have an enjoyable day in the sunshine on the ridge.
Lovely, thanks very much.
Cheers.
Okay, bye.
There we go. So that was a really, really interesting insight into what's going on here at Cemlyn, and I think Nia's got some lovely flowers over there on the the ridge as well. Lots of thrift and things.
We've got a dread.
Yeah, so that's what we were talking about. That's when all of the birds seem to fly up. But yeah, like Mark was saying, some of them might still be sat. So they might not be because there's a predator in the air or anything particularly disturbing. But yeah, so I think there's the predator's been around, and I think there's been several birds caught over the last few days, which is quite impressive when you see it happen, because they generally catch in the air. So it's a really impressive thing to see. But then of course it does feel a bit heartbreaking for the terns once they've made that big journey all the way over here to end their life like that. But hey ho, that's the way things go, and that's the circle of life.
It is.
Yeah.
So Eve, is it a special year for Cemlyn this year?
It is a special year for Cemlyn this year, yes. So it's the Cemlyn's 50th anniversary, and I don't know if you can hear the sandwich turn. There was a really nice, yeah. So that was this very distinctive sort of kirrik. Well, it's kind of more of a kir, but they're just flying right overhead, which is lovely. Yes, so Cemlyn's 50th anniversary this year. So there's lots going on this year to celebrate. So there's lots of walks. So if you go to the website, as Dawn's showing here,
This is the blog.
This is the blog. Yeah, so this is the history blog. So yes, there's going to be lots going on this summer to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Cemlyn. Lots of walks and talks. So do take a look at our website, and go and have a look and see if you want to join in with any of that. That would be great. There we go, scrolling through the website.
Yeah, and we've got the Tern ID identification guide you can download as well.
Yeah, and that's really worth having a look at. It's a beautiful guide, and the illustrations are fantastic with that. So that's definitely worth having a look at. Yeah. Yes. So, and then we've also got another exciting thing coming up in June, which I think Dawn's got some more information on.
I've totally forgotten how to share screen for 2 seconds then. Here we go, yay! Starts the 1st of June.
Yeah, so 30 Days Wild. So this is a fantastic thing to join in with. You can sign up for 30 Days Wild, and the idea is that you do a random act of wildness for each day for the 30 days of June. So yes, I will definitely be joining in, and the 1st of June is my birthday, so I'll be doing a birthday random act of wildness, so that's good. And just getting it in there.
Oh, Penblwydd hapus I chi. Wel, dwi'n neud 30 diwrnod gwyllt yn Gymraeg I ymarfer fy Nghymraeg y blwyddyn yma. I'm going to be doing the 30 Days Wild in Welsh to have a practice of my Welsh as well. So,
da iawn,
because you can get it in Welsh as well.
Yes, yeah, you can. Lovely, yeah. And I think unless is that Nia there?
That's Nia. So Nia's walking over. So I think she's still looking over at the skerries. But Nia, if you can hear us, can you pan around to where Eve is so that we can see just Eve from the back, basically, so she can wave. So this is the sort of Cemlyn Bay, where the other side of the ridge is where the islands are, where the terns are feeding. So Eve, I'm sure, is waving, and Sue. So we'll go back to the.
Sue is waving. Sue's giving a big wave.
Nia, did you want to say anything?
No, it's just it's just lovely to be out here, and no, I think that's it. I'm very much looking forward to 30 Days Wild, and yeah, I'm looking forward to now getting off the tour and going onto the ridge to have a look a bit closer at the colony.
That's what we're looking at now. Fantastic. So Eve, I think we're gonna finish with quite a beautiful poem. Yeah.
Yeah. just before I do the poem, I was just going to mention the fact that there's speaking again of migrating birds, there's a beautiful whitethroat, which is quite a small bird, that's been singing just sort of to my left. There's a little sort of enclosed area with quite a lot of sort of dense scrub, and there's a lovely sounding whitethroat that's been singing. It's got a really beautiful call. It sounds a bit like a dunnock, but a bit more screechy, I suppose. And it's just been singing away this morning. So I thought that would be a nice thing to bring up as well. So lots to see here at Cemlyn. So do definitely come and visit and see what you can see and hear. Yeah, but yes, to finish with this poem, so it's called The Arctic Tern's Prayer, and it's by Mary Ann Clark. And we thought if you could be read to whilst watching the tern camp, so and listening to them as well. Okay, The Arctic Tern's Prayer. Tell the air to hold me in the rushing heart of it, and keep its path straight. Away from home, let there be a land that flows with fish and flies, and let it taste like it tasted at home. Home, take this salty scent of home from my head. Cut away the memory of its last ultraviolet, flash beautiful beneath me. Don't turn me to a twist of salt and fall to see saltiness. If I look back at home, let me look back just once. Let me look back.